Hey everybody, Patty Ann here again. Today I'm going to show you how to get images that will go along with the book The Napping House, in case you have youngsters in your family or you know some in the neighborhood, you know some people who are doing homeschooling. I even think that these might be good for some children that have some disabilities to be able to have manipulatives to play along when you're reading the book to them. So join me at my screen and I'm going to show you how to get this ready for both your Cricut machine and your Cameo. And later on at the end, I will link this to the version of the book that I'll read aloud to your kids. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to provide the link for you for this down below. You can see it up here in the screen, but it's probably hard to read. So I'll put it down below. It's not an affiliate link or anything. It's just a fabulous site that you need to be taking advantage of. So when you go there and you find, as soon as you click on it, actually, you'll open up this page in Adobe Acrobat, or it will open as a PDF file. Once it opens as a PDF file, you want to make sure that you download it. Now, I've already done that, so mine's downloaded to my computer, and you can actually see it right down here on the lower left-hand side of my screen. So then what I would do is I would open up Silhouette, and let me get myself there, and then I would come to File, Open. I'm going to find the Napping House. There it is, Napping. Click on that to open it. Now notice it's got two pages, right, of things. Now what you need to do is to bring these in as images, not as vectors. So go ahead and change this to image. And I like to change my dots per inch, or my DPI, to 300 since I'm printing these. And I will just say import. There's my first images I need. Now do the same thing, File, Open, back to the Napping House, and this time I want page 2, import as an image. Now watch, be careful, because it looks like that's checked, like that's what's going to happen, but you must come over here and say import as an image and change this to 300 DPI and say import. And it's going to import on its own separate page. So there's this page and this page. And you can leave them separately if you want to, or group them together. But let's just start now with what we need to do. First thing you'll need to do, now these are going to be print then cut. It'll be a lot of fun for kids, print then cut, just to pile stuff on as you read the story along to them. So you come over here to the trace panel, and you're just going to come here to where it says select trace area. And then just come over here and trace around these things. So they are copyrighted, but I have checked with the person who makes them, and she says we're definitely allowed to use these for our own home use. So this is perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to up the threshold a bit, because I want to get a nice trace. So I'm not sure about how this dog's going to do. Let's look and see. I'm going to say trace and detach. Let's see, since he's white, looks like he did just fine. So now I'm just going to group all these guys. Actually, before I group them, you know what I can do, you guys? I can go ahead and put an offset on every one of these, because I always like to put a nice white offset to make them larger than what they are and to make them more sturdy and more professional looking. And don't forget, if you don't have little kids, you may have kids who are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 who like to play school, and they'd probably like to have these and pretend like they're reading the book to their students and doing things. So let me go ahead and group all that, and not group it, but select it all and come over here to the offset tool right here. Looks like a star with an offset on it. Click on that, just say offset. And I think I'll just leave the offset at the default. So I'm going to come over here and change its color to white. If I'm cutting this with my Cricut, I'll want to change this line color to a medium gray. So maybe like the third gray in. Okay, like that. Okay, I've already cut all of these out, including the 2 dogs that were left over. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut it out again, but this time I'm just going to cut it out of white paper. I'm not going to print it first, because this is going to make a backing so that I'll have 2 layers, making it a stronger play toy. So to do that, all I need to do is come over here to the page setup panel and turn off the registration marks by going to the third button over, change it to off. And then notice I have all these just stacked up on top of each other. I'm going to use the nesting tool again. I'm going to highlight everybody and then come down here on the lower right hand corner where it says nesting panel. Use the cut area, padding of 1, rotations of 4, just willy-nilly numbers that I've chosen. I'm going to say nest. And if you'll notice, they're all going to fit on here perfectly. I want to scroll in just to make sure right here that the cat is not touching. It's not. Look at that. Perfect. So let's scroll back out. So now all I'm going to do is scroll back out one more, is send this. Go ahead and send this to my cutting machine, to my Cameo. So I've got to get a white piece of paper, but it's a plain white piece. It's 11 by 17, which I get from Staples, as I said. I'll put that on my mat, send it through, and here's what's going to happen. All it's going to do is just going to cut the outer edge of all these. There won't be any pictures inside of them. They'll just be plain white paper, which is exactly what I want. So when that's done, I'll meet you back here. Okay, here's you can see here what it's cut out. It's cut out. This is the old lady in the bed, and here's in the bed. This is probably a bug, or maybe these are the 2 bugs over here. So I'll take these off of this Cricut mat and just glue them onto the back side of the colored pieces. Okay, one last thing I wanted to show you, and that is how to use these images over in Cricut Design Space. So the first thing you do after putting these lovely offsets around these is to move these images out so that none of them are overlapping the other ones. Okay, move them all apart. So let's see how far down we can go. I just made my big 12 by 24 inch mat here just so I could have more room to work and you could see well. So I'm just bringing all of these in. And let's see, I think everybody's going to fit perfectly. All right. So now all of these have the wonderful offset. I'll just scroll in a little bit like that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw around all of them, and I might as well group them. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here while this is still selected and say File, Save Selection, Save to the hard drive, and I'm going to name this as Napping House for Cricut. And I'm going to save it as a JPEG, not as a PNG, but a JPEG. Now, if you have the Silhouette software and you don't have these options available, it's probably because you don't have the business edition. You must have the business edition to be able to save things as SVGs and JPEGs. Let's save it as a JPEG and say OK. Just leave all these numbers as they are and say save. And I'm going to go upload an image. Browse. Here's the image that I just did. Nope, there it is. Napping House for Cricut. Looks good. I'm going to say complex. Continue. Now, usually I would have you come here to this tool, the Select and Erase, and go to Advanced Options and change this to an 8. But I tried that a moment ago and 8 didn't work that well because watch the cat. Do you see what happened to his nice offset? We lost his offset. So I'm going to go back. Complex, continue. Usually 8 works for just about everything, but I'm going to change the color tolerance this time to a 6. And I'm going to try that and let's see if that gets the cat perfect. Look, we have the cat's offset on him. Everybody else's offset is on beautifully. So we would just continue and save. And then I would insert this. Now, as I mentioned over there in Silhouette, I might have wanted to make these a little further apart so it would be easier because right now this is too big for print then cut. I could have sent it over here in 2 pieces as well. So what I can do though is get a shape, get the square, bring the square over here and maybe, I don't know if it'll be too big. Let's see, what size is that? 6? This might work to get both of these. I unlock the lock. I might be able to get all of that. Let's see. That's 7 by 6. Yes, this should work. So what I'm going to do is, while that's selected, hold down my shift key and select another thing. And then since only 2 things are selected, I can say slice. So that means I can get rid of this piece and get rid of all this black stuff. And now this will work and this will work. They'll both work perfectly just like that because they're not too big. So all we would have to do is go to make it. There's one mat and there's the other one, of course. And of course we would print it first. After printing, we'd put this on our mat and cut it and do the same with this one. So that's how easy it is to bring these things over into Cricut from Silhouette. Check out below. Grab the Silhouette software. You'll love it for your Cricut. It's not free, but it's not that expensive either. And there's so much you can do with it. But enough of that. Let's check it out and see what we ended up with. Okay, in the background you can see a page from the book that I'll be reading. And then here I wanted to show you the things that I made that will go along with it. So you'll see that there's a flea that bites the mouse. And there's a dog. And a cat. And the child. Another cat. And the granny who's sleeping. Well, here she's sleeping until everybody crawls on top of her. The cat, the child, everybody crawls on top. The dog, they're all on top. And it's a really funny story, and I think your kids will like it. And I think they'll like to have these manipulatives too. It helps them with sequencing, helps them with listening to stories and following along. It's just a good activity for preschoolers. And again, if you have older kids, they can pretend they're playing school. They can read the book, practice reading as they do this. And maybe for children with handicap. I've heard sometimes some autistic children like messing with this kind of stuff. I've never researched that, so I don't really know. Someone just told me that once. So thanks a lot for joining me. I hope you enjoy these stories. If you do, please give them the thumbs up and share them with other people that you know that would like to listen to stories and learn to make some manipulatives to go with them. By the way, I'll have the link down below for the story so that you can just watch that with your child. But I wanted to give you a heads up, so in case you wanted to make these first. So thanks again. Check out the links below. I appreciate your using them. Bye. Bye for now.